If you're a liberal lefty, a left-winger, an arch-liberalist, I would advise you to go and find a very comfortable chair, sit down and take a few deep breaths, because this video is going to really wind you up. It's going to frazzle your brain. And the reason for that is it's about your absolute arch enemy, Mr. Donald Trump. El Presidente, President Trump. And every time I make a video about Donald Trump, I get the same people coming out of the woodwork accusing me of being an apologist for a rapist, apologist for a sexual abuser, an apologist for a Nazi, a fascist, blah, 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 blah. What they don't seem to be able to do, which I think I'm able to do, is separate the man from the policy. Is Donald Trump someone I like? No. Is he someone I'd want to invite for dinner? No. Do I agree with many of his policies? Yes. Do I think he's a force for good in the world? Yes, I absolutely do. Because I'm able to separate the things that he does from how he behaves. And they're not able to do that. So let me just run through some of the stuff that's happened in the last week, 10 days or so. Because a lot of this stuff are things that you on the left, you liberalists, would or should agree with. So just in the last 10 days alone, this is how busy the man has been and how busy and successful his administration has been. He's agreed a major trade deal between the UK and the USA. He, yesterday or a day before, I think it was, took measures which you should absolutely agree with, which is that he issued an executive order cutting drug costs, prescription drug costs, by up to 90%. But in all cases, it's sort of 50, 60, 70%, but up to 90% on some drugs. Who does that benefit? Well, it benefits the poorer people. It benefits the people that struggle to pay for drugs. Who does it attack? It attacks the big pharmaceutical companies, the big conglomerates. Surely as a lefty or a liberal, you're 100% on the side of that, aren't you? That's a fantastic measure. It's reducing drug costs for all of the poorer people in the USA. That's got to be a good measure, but you won't say a word about it. Then a few days ago, his team, the USA, helped to broker a ceasefire and a peace deal between India and Pakistan, who were on the brink of a catastrophic war, and they've been talked down by the USA and the Trump administration. This all happened in the last week. And then yesterday, what sealed it all, he's out in Saudi Arabia, and he gave a speech that you on the liberal left should absolutely 100% be applauding from the rooftops, because it echoes everything that you've been saying for the last 20, 25 years. So he gave a speech basically saying we need to stop the ongoing and incessant wars in the Middle Eastern and Asian area. The days of America, the USA, American imperialism, Western imperialism, dictating to the Middle Eastern countries and places like Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Syria, blah, 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 are over. They never worked. They were a force for bad. And what we need to do is agree peace and agree peace deals and secure cooperation between these countries. And his method of doing that is by making them business partners. It's always his method of doing things. And people jump on him and say, well, he's only doing it for the profit. It is because it makes a profit, but it's because he recognises one absolute truth. And that truth is money talks. And this is where the liberalists won't like it and the lefties won't like it. Money talks. It overrides morals. It overrides ethics. It overrides agenda. It often even overrides religion. And by making these countries business partners, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's Saudi Arabia, whether it's Syria, wherever it might be, he turns them into monetary allies. And if you're a monetary ally, you're much, much less likely to wage war, either on the West or on each other. He recognises that as an absolute truth. Saudi Arabia, who I'm no fan of at all, clearly also recognise that. And therefore, what you're going to get with him in charge is a much more peaceful world, a much more peaceful Middle Eastern region. And as he said, the days of American imperialism and Americans dictating to that region what happens are over. Now, all of you were the people that were out on the streets en masse, rightly so, protesting against the Iraq war, protesting against what went on in Libya, protesting against what went on and the war against Iran and Afghanistan and so on. Trump yesterday even dangled an olive branch to Iran. He said, you don't have to be our enemies. Let's talk. Let's figure this out. However, we will not allow you to have nuclear weapons. So what do you want? Do you want to do a deal or do you want us to fuck you over? That seems a perfectly reasonable statement to me. And yet none of you will recognise the good in what he's doing. None of you will even acknowledge a lot of the good stuff that he says and does. None of you will even acknowledge that what he said in Saudi Arabia yesterday is exactly what you've all been saying for the last 25 years. But no, it's just orange man bad. Trump derangement syndrome. Let me know your thoughts. Are you a Trump fan? Are you not a Trump fan? Would you consider yourself a liberal lefty? Are you surprised that he's come down so firmly against the previous 25 years of sort of neocon politics? Is he now one of you? And will you ever acknowledge that?